Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, Season 1, Episode 2. You already know I have a cute little drink here and ready. This was a really good episode. I have to say, Salt Lake City is just so refreshing because the drama is fresh. And I know that Bravo uses the same formula for every single franchise, but I have to say Salt Lake City is very organic. It just feels new. I mean, yes, this is a new cast, but I'm just really loving it so far. I was really surprised at how good this episode was. I was just like, wow, they really brought it for episode 2, you know, because sometimes these new franchises, they'll give you like a filler episode like for 2 and 3, but I have to say this was a really, really, really good episode 2. I was thoroughly entertained from beginning to end. I know if you guys see a little bit of this, that's just one of my balloons, because you guys know that the doll was here celebrating 2,500 subscribers. So yeah, I have my balloons here to the side. So don't be like, wait, what is that? No, these are just my balloons right here, child. They're just here floating to the side. Without further ado, let's just jump right on into this episode because we have a lot to discuss and I don't want to be here just going on and on and on, child. So let's just get on into it. We start off this episode with the whole argument between Jen and Mary at Meredith's party. You all remember Jen confronted Mary regarding Mary's comments of her saying that she smelled like the hospital. And we all know that Jen was in the hospital with her aunt because her aunt was getting both of her legs amputated. So we see Jen and she is in, I guess, her bathroom or she's in the powder room, but she is just like really angry and she's screaming and just pissed off. She just feels that like Mary is just so wrong and she's just really aggravated that Mary just won't apologize and just own up to what she said and own up to her hurting her feelings. So she's talking to her hairstylist and then we see Heather come on in to like calm her down and just, you know, see what happened. And she's just telling the whole story again to Heather. And then we see Heather in the confessional like, look, this whole entire argument is just so absurd. Like, they need to resolve it. And Heather, I completely agree with you because I found myself like, this is the most absurd, bizarre, weirdest argument I have ever heard of or ever seen. Like, I mean, I've been in some crazy arguments myself, but I was like, this whole thing takes the cake. I said, like, we need to end it because I can't do another episode talking about this whole hospital argument. I really can't. Like, my patience is, like, thin, okay? I think my patience is thin because of all the BS with Potomac. So I'm just like, SLC, I really don't have time for a whole lot of foolery, okay? So we see Mary is searching for Jen. She wants to make things right. She just wants to talk to Jen and clear this whole thing up. So while she is walking to find Jen, she hears Jen talking about the whole thing. So she just goes on into the room and she sees like Jen's whole crew there and Heather's there. And she's like, can I just talk to Jen, you know, one-on-one? And so, of course, when people say that it's never one-on-one, you know, in these shows, everybody got to be a part of the conversation, child. So Jen and Mary talk it out. You know, Meredith comes in and she's like, look, you guys have to resolve this. You know, this isn't the time or the place. This is my birthday party. Like, we should all be having fun. Like, it needs to be love and light. Like, it doesn't need to be all this heaviness. So Mary is finally like, look, Jen, you know I would never want to upset you or hurt you. I apologize. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean anything by it. Then she goes on and on about how she had her odor glands removed and then the only time she's been in the hospital was for that and when she had her son. But I was laughing because I said, Mary, quite a few of your ex-church members have reached out to me and they have let me know that you've allegedly, I got to put that allegedly in there, but you've allegedly had quite a few surgeries done and none of them had anything to do with odor glands or delivering a child. We'll just keep it at that. So Jen and Mary finally make up. Thank you, Jesus. Thank God, because I could not hear anything more about hospital. I just couldn't. So since that whole fight and argument has been resolved, now we see Lisa and Whitney, and they're talking. And so it started off friendly enough. Whitney's talking about her vow renewal and how beautiful it was. And she thanks Lisa for the tequila. So Lisa had gifted Whitney a whole bunch of tequila, free tequila, for Whitney's vow renewal. So while Whitney is like, thank you, Lisa, but I just have to let you know that your bartenders really cut a fool and they got super drunk and like damn near trashed my house. So Lisa gets super defensive and she is not trying to hear it. And you could tell Whitney was kind of taken aback by their whole little interaction, because she was definitely not trying to come from a place of shade. It was just like, girl, I'm just trying to let you know that you have some very unprofessional staff out here, and I don't want your business to be messed up because you have some bartenders who don't know how to act. And I commended Whitney for that. She didn't say anything wrong. Why did she say anything? Because Lisa took it the complete wrong way. And like, you could tell Lisa was pissed. And then Whitney was like, and we ran out of your tequila by like 6 p.m. And then Lisa's getting really angry because she's like, well, I gave you about 500 cases or 500 bottles of tequila. Like, that should last you all night. So she's just getting really aggravated. And Whitney in her confessional is shady. So she's like, you know what, sis? Your tequila's cute, but I'm not checking for your tequila. Like, it's a cute for a little yin, yin, yin around the house. But I really drink that Casamigos in my house. I don't even drink your tequila. I like Whitney. So keep your eye on Whitney, honey. She's going to give you some good shade wrapped up in a pretty smile. I said, I know that's right. Lisa, bottom line, you don't have a leg to stand on with Whitney about this whole tequila situation. Your bartenders got drunk and you need to reprimand them for that, because if you are working an event, if you're working, a job, you can't get drunk at the job. That's just, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's very unprofessional. That makes your business look bad, because it's like, wow, like, who are you sending out here to represent your brand? So Whitney did not say anything wrong. She didn't do anything wrong. She said it in a very nice and polite way. So Lisa, girl, you got to learn how to listen and stop getting so defensive and stop being on the attack all the time. Like, learn how to take some criticism. Like, she wasn't even criticizing you. That was the thing. Like, she was literally just saying, like, girl, like, just like to let you know that your bartenders were acting a fool. Like, just handle that. But we're going to see that this whole conversation has spawned some new drama now between Lisa and Whitney. And you could tell that Lisa's really pissed because she ends up just leaving the party. I was like, okay, girl, bye. Just go. This next scene was really cute. We see Jen, and she's cleaning up from the party, and she's cleaning up with a whole crew because her husband Sharif is coming home, and she done lied to her man and told him she was just having a small little party for Meredith's, birthday. So Sharif comes home and he's like, oh baby, like, hey, how you doing? Like, it's a lot of people to clean the house. Like, how many people were here? And she's like, oh, it's just the six of us girls. And he's just kind of like, So that part was really funny. I said, Jen, don't lie to that man, honey. He gonna find out. So now we see Lisa, and she's home, and she is telling her husband how she's doing a girls' ski trip, and she's excited, but she's not looking forward to seeing Whitney. And then she tells her husband the whole conversation that she and Whitney had. And you could tell her husband kind of wanted to like interject and be like, okay, so like what was said, like what was going on? And he even said like, so do you want me to say something, or do you want to just vent and want me to listen? She was like, I just want to talk. And it was kind of like, I felt like her husband had some really good advice that he wanted to share, but she just didn't want to hear any of it. And I was like, girl, you're in the wrong here. And when this airs on TV, your husband's going to see that you're totally in the wrong. Like, she didn't say anything. So then Lisa says in her confessional that she received a text from Whitney, and she tells Whitney, you know, I don't want to do this over text. Let's just talk on the phone. And she says that she gave Whitney some friendly advice during the little phone call. And then when she said friendly advice, I said, there was nothing friendly about that advice, child. I know she was probably real nasty to Whitney, and we'll find out about that phone call later on. This show is a mess. These girls are messy. Messy. So next we see Heather, and she is going shopping. She needs some new ski boots, and you know, she's trying to get ready, I guess, for the ski trip that Lisa's having. And then Whitney joins her, and I guess Whitney was getting a snowboard. So she was getting her snowboard like waxed and polished and all that stuff for the big ski trip. So they're just shopping and chatting, and then Whitney, you know, pulls her to the side and is like, you know, what did you think about the party for Meredith? And Heather was like, I didn't really have a good time, even though the party was beautiful, but I just didn't have a great time. And she talks about how she was really hurt that Lisa was just very dismissive and didn't really talk to her at the party. You know what's funny? Rewatching episode 1 and now this episode, I'm really like, okay, I have my good eye on Lisa, and I'm not feeling Lisa, because I just thought that a lot of things that she did this episode were just really low down. Like, it's definitely changed my stance on quite a few of the other ladies, because I'm like, okay, I like you, but now Lisa, I'm not feeling Lisa, and I'm like feeling some type of way because I like Lisa in the beginning, but Lisa, girl, you have one more episode to redeem yourself, because right now you're really pissing me off. Like, period, point blank, I'm not liking you. I'm not. I'd have to say my favorites right now would be Jen, Meredith, Whitney, and I'm starting to warm up to Heather. I really am. Heather, you moving up a little bit, girl. But we'll see. I got my eye on you still. So then Whitney tells Heather her whole conversation with Lisa and how her and Lisa were on the phone. And she says that, you know, Lisa was kind of nasty to her, saying, you know, don't destroy my business, don't destroy my entities and all this stuff. And Whitney was like, look, girl, I wasn't trying to do all that. It wasn't that deep. I was just saying your bartenders got super drunk, and that's just not cool. Then Whitney drops the bomb that Lisa threatened her in the phone call and said that she would reveal these rumors that she's heard about Whitney, and those rumors are that she and her husband are swingers. So Whitney's like, look, I'm not a swinger. I've never, you know, swung a day in my life, but that could destroy my reputation because there is a history of polygamy in my family. So then she starts talking about all the polygamy that went down in her family and how they used to have, some people in her family were talking to each other through like, what did she say? Through like cans. They had like the string in the cans you see like in the cartoons. But yeah, she said that they would communicate that way. And when the sheriff would come into town, then they would use that to communicate with each other. Like, oh, the sheriff's coming into town, like hide the wives. So I said, oh, like, oh girl, just a mess. Then Whitney lets us know that growing up, she was the perfect Mormon girl growing up, that when she was a teenager, instead of going on some really fun and sexy spring break trip with her friends to Maui, she decided to go on some, I guess, a missionary trip or some church trip. So she said that when she got back from that church missionary trip, she started fooling around with her boyfriend, and then she realized, like, why am I following this religion? Like, do I really believe what it's saying, or am I just following it just to follow it? So I guess that was like her come to Jesus moment of, okay, I'm not really down with all this that they're telling me. So then Heather is, you know, listening to her, and she just says outright that she believes that Lisa feels that she is better than the both of them, and that's why she's always throwing little jabs and trying to be shady. And I think so too, especially after this episode. I was like, okay, I definitely think that Lisa feels like she is better than both of them, because the way she was talking to them throughout this episode, it really just pissed me off, and I didn't like that. So I said, Heather, I think you're on the money with this one. I really do. I hate how Heather is like making the biggest deal about Lisa not knowing her, but I get it. But I'm like, Heather, don't be sitting up here acting pressed for anybody's attention or friendship, girl. Like, you are so much better than that. Lisa can kick rocks with that little still tequila. Bye, girl. Then in the next scene, we see Whitney, and she's making dinner for both of her kids. She has a girl and a boy. I was laughing because the little boy's name is Brooks. And I was like, isn't Meredith's son named Brooks as well? I was like, oh my gosh, like they love that name. That's a very popular name. And then I was kind of living because I was like, oh, like it's kind of similar to my name because my name is Brooks. So I just thought that was so cute. So anyhow, she's making them dinner and she's like, are you excited to see your grandfather? And they're like, yeah, we're excited. So then her father comes on in and he's hugging the kids, and we find out some more backstory about Whitney's dad. Now, when I looked at Whitney's dad in that first episode at her vow renewal, I got like an old rock star. Like he was giving me like Ozzy Osbourne tease. Like he was just giving me that he was in a band. I was just kind of shocked to find out that he was a Mormon, but whatever, child. I guess you can't judge a book by its cover. So we find out that Whitney was a daddy's girl growing up. Her and her dad were best friends, very close. But their relationship started to get a little, I guess, not rocky, I guess a little bit strained because he's been addicted to painkillers for the past 10 years. So Whitney lets us know that her father was a self-made millionaire, and he owned a really successful hair salon, and he also owned a really successful hair care line as well. And all of the money, it's just gone because of his addiction to painkillers. And, you know, she talked about how like the Mormon church kind of turned their back on him when they found out that he had an addiction. And then she also talked about how when her parents got divorced, he used painkillers to cope with it. So then she says that she is so happy that she stuck by her dad because she believes that if she hadn't stuck by her dad, that he would not be here today. So I just found the story to be very touching. It's always sad to find out that somebody's addicted to drugs. You know, that's a hard road for anybody. So that was very touching. Her dad seems like a sweet man. He seems very nice. And I hope that Whitney's dad, you know, can beat it and just take it one day at a time. We wish Whitney's dad the best over here. Now, this next scene was very interesting to me. We see Meredith and Seth, and they are going out to dinner. It's like a date night. The dinner already started off kind of weird. They're already kind of like, just the vibe was off to me. And then they drop the bombshell that they're separated. And Seth asks Meredith, have you told any of your friends that we're separated? And she's like, no, like, I haven't really said anything to anybody. I don't really want to publicize this. Like, I'm just trying to, you know, I guess like we're just trying to work this out. So then we find out that they met at 23, got married at 24, and had their first kid at 25. I was like, oh my goodness. Like they never had a chance to just be. Like that is so young to have been with somebody, you know, because they said that they were married for 22, 23 years. So it's like, wow, you know, to have been with somebody that young, you didn't really get a chance to discover yourself or find yourself, if that makes sense. Like, that's just so young to get married to somebody. And I'm not saying that people who get married young are doomed. I'm not saying that because there are, you know, success stories, but I just kind of feel like those success stories are kind of few and far between when it comes to marrying that young. That's just my opinion. I feel like 23, you don't even know who you are yet, you know? There's just so much discovery and exploration that I feel needs to happen before you can combine your life with somebody else. But Seth is like, I feel like I'm very transparent, and I feel like you're not as transparent. And then he's like, you know, I'll show you my phone. And it's kind of like, you know, that's all well and good, Seth, but you very well can have another phone. Like when people do these dramatic things like that, I'm always kind of like, but you could have a second phone. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's nice and all that you're showing me this, but it's like, okay, you could have deleted the conversations that you were having with somebody else. Like, and I don't mean to be like cynical like that, because I'm not a cynical person at all, but I was kind of like, you know, I hope that he is on the up and up and there isn't any cheating going on. But Meredith's reaction to me was a little bit strange, because she was like, you know, I don't want to look at your phone. I think that that is like an invasion of privacy. I don't want you to look at my phone. And he was kind of saying that that's where some of the contention lies, because she won't show him her phone. I'm not going to lie to you. During that dinner, I got the impression that Meredith might be seeing somebody else herself. And I was like, Meredith, if you've seen somebody else, girl, just come on out with it. Just come on out, girl, because it will be revealed. Come on out. But I thought their situation was very sad, and I'm not really surprised, because we saw in the first episode, Seth wasn't even there for her birthday. And then when Meredith was talking about, I guess, where the breakdown in their marriage happened, she was like, well, I can't pinpoint one specific thing. It was like a whole bunch of things. It was the lack of communication. It was the upheavals. We're always moving from place to place. It was both of us trying to get our businesses off the ground. It's just a whole bunch of stuff that has contributed to our marriage breaking down. And that's really sad. I hope that they can get on track and make it work, you know, because that's sad. You don't want to see a dissolution of a marriage, especially if there is some hope that it can be saved. I was cracking up at the fact that every time they were trying to have like a moment, the waitress kept coming and interrupting them. Isn't that the worst? Like when you're at a restaurant and you're talking and you're like really deep in a conversation, especially a serious conversation, and the waiter or the waitress just keeps coming to interrupt. It's like at the worst moment, you're like, oh my gosh, like I just got my food, like our drinks are filled, like we don't need, like just let us talk for like 3 minutes without interrupting. And the waitress just kept coming back. I was like, oh my gosh, girl, like they're having a moment, just talk to another table, please. So it's the day of Lisa's big ski trip with all the ladies, and they're all there, and Mary is late. And we find out the reason why Mary is late to the ski outing. But she was talking about wedgies or whatever, and how she was waiting on this particular Chanel jacket. I was like, oh, Mary is a kook. But I mean, I thought her snow getup was very pretty. But she's still a kook. So everybody is there, and we see that Heather has one of her business partners there too, and Whitney brought one of her friends there as well. So they're all getting ready to ski, and when I tell you, I just assumed that all of them could ski and ski well. So we see Heather and Meredith are excellent skiers. Whitney is doing snowboarding, and she's really good. And then we see Lisa, Jen, and Mary are on the bunny hill for the beginners. And I was just kind of like, really? Like the two girls of color gotta be beginners. I was like, really, girl? Like I just knew Mary knew how to ski. I said, are you kidding me? But I thought that part was really funny. So then while Meredith, Whitney, and Heather are skiing, they just like take a break for a little bit, and they're talking on top of one of the slopes. And so Whitney is like, I just feel like every single time Lisa and I are together, it's always some shade, it's always some drama. And we see a clip of a few months ago, her, Meredith, and Lisa had went out for lunch, I guess, and Lisa was like, girl, we need to get you up to style because you look like you're from Utah. And I guess Whitney was offended by that. So then Meredith is like, well, you know, just, you know, confront Lisa and just talk to her and just try to clear the air. And so Whitney's like, yeah, like, I'm going to do that. So they finish skiing, and we see them getting ready for dinner, and then Heather's like, 8 women trying to get ready for dinner after a long day of skiing means that we've missed our reservation and we are 3.5 hours late, but the restaurant was really kind enough to stay open for them. So they're all sitting around the table and, you know, ordering drinks, ordering food. And Whitney reveals that she is going to Mary's church with her dad, and she's really excited. So they're all talking, and she just feels like, she's talking about being judged. And she's looking over in Lisa's direction. And Lisa's like, well, if you have something to say, then just spit it out. Like, don't beat around the bush. Just say it. So then Whitney just says it, straight up that she feels like Lisa judges her. And Lisa is automatically on the defense. She's like, I don't judge you at all. Like, I don't even think about you like that to be judging you. So Whitney brings up their phone call and she brings up the threats, but she's careful not to bring up the word swinger because she's like, if I say it, then she's going to spin it around and say that I am a swinger, so I'm not going to say that word. So Lisa denies all of the allegations that she's judgmental. She denies ever threatening Whitney about the whole swinging rumor. She's like, look, well, I've heard some stuff, but I've never spread around saying it. I did not say that. That's not how the conversation went down. So they're going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And Heather chimes in and is like, Lisa, I just find you very dismissive. I just was really hurt when you're saying that you don't know me, but then you're saying that you know me in college for flashing my breasts. And it's like, which one is it? And Heather just brought up some very good points, because which one is it? If you don't remember me, then you don't remember me, period. You don't not remember me, but then you remember that I used to do certain stuff. Like, no, it's one or the other. Like, it doesn't work that way. Lisa was just super dismissive to both of them. And then at the end, she gives this really weak, half-assed apology to say, look, if I ever hurt you or made you feel like I was dismissive of your feelings, if I ever made you feel like, I was threatening you, I'm sorry, but I'm done with this conversation. And Whitney and Heather like, okay, girl, like, we're gonna, put it past us, but you could tell they're still kind of annoyed. And I was annoyed watching that, because it was like, girl, that apology was just so weak to me. It really was. Like, that wasn't sincere at all. That was pretty much like, just shut up. I don't want to talk about this anymore. And I feel ganged up on. Lisa's one of those women who can dish it out but can't take it. And she hates being called out on her mess. And that's really irritating to me. Like, I hate people like that. If you're trying to be rude and bitchy, then just own it. Just be like, yeah, okay, I said it, and what? But for you to sit up here and throw shade and be messy, but then all of a sudden you want to act like, well, no, I didn't do that. I would never do that. That's not me. That, like, girl, just stop it. But anyways, y'all, that is the recap for this episode. It was really good, wasn't it? So, as always, you guys know what to do. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all later. I'll see y'all for Potomac, okay? Bye.